PGA Tour American Express event. We actually have some real golfers out here this week. I mean, there wasn't real guys, but we've got a little bit of a better field here. And Sheets, any overall thoughts before we jump into the
Yes. So it's a very interesting hybrid type of GPP because usually you have the cut events where you have Thursday, Friday, then there's a cut, then Saturday, Sunday, and then sometimes you have the no cut events. And when you have the regular cut events, you typically can end up with like middling type builds. Where you have the no cut events, you can usually end up with stars and scrubs because you don't have to worry about the scrubs missing the cut. You're going to get 4 rounds regardless. So you could play the kind of cheapos and with without too much worrying about it. Here you have a hybrid because it's 3 rounds and then a cut. Okay. So I think, listen, I haven't run my sims yet, but I guess what that's going to mean is that the optimal strategy is going to be sort of in between, like maybe more like the 9K guys or something like that, where we don't really have to go stars and scrubs, but we can get away with taking shots at more cheapos than normal because, it's you don't get cut until after 3 rounds. So that's my overall thing. And the other thing is similar to the last couple of tournaments. It's going to be like minus 100. Okay.
100 million, yeah.
It's going to be minus 100. You're going to have to make putts, which means it's going to be quite a bit of variance. So any opportunity to get different, I'm not going to argue with, and I'm going to actually use the Saber Sims and couple of other tools to get different, even if I was forced to, even if I didn't want to. There's another interesting little piece is that I'm pretty sure this is the return of once and future mid-range chalk buster Daniel Berger. He hasn't played in a long time, and he's coming between him. He's joining the Will Zalatoris connection of trying to beat back problems. It's not easy, man.
Yeah,
it's just not easy. But yeah, I guess I'll just share my screen and we'll do what we usually do is we'll go through, I guess, tier by tier and, talk about our favorite plays. And then we'll try to figure out at the end, like who's going to win, who's our best play from each range and all that. And then after that, at some point between now and tomorrow, I'm going to do a lineup build, whether it'll be by myself or whether I'll do part of a live stream later. But I do think it's important to do that separate. But let's just get into it.
Yeah, I mean, so right off the bat, I guess I'll go with my top guys. I mean, it's pretty wild to see, you have one guy projected 10 points higher than anybody else on the slate. And I just don't think they made Scotty Scheffler pricey enough. I actually think it's getting too cute to try to fade him in general. Now, you could argue this is not the right tournament. You could argue for not spending in this range. I don't really think you could make a great case that the other guys are better plays. So it's Scheffler on his own in the 10K plus range for me. I don't mind any of the other ones. I would probably go Schauffele, Cantlay, Im after Scheffler, but I think Scheffler is probably the one who I end up using.
Yeah, for context, I do put these sheets out for TrueDFS premium subscribers, and just for today, I'm going to show you what it looks like for this particular slate. And this, you have to be familiar with my sheets to realize what a big deal this is. Like Scheffler is like 55 points higher in this sheets value score rating, and for some people are like, what's the big deal, whatever it is. I've just been doing these things a long time now, and you just don't see this too often. And there's a good example. Like, look, everything else is like really, it's like kind of close. There's not a lot of break points there.
Right.
So to get like you mentioned, a 10-point higher projection of a guy who's only, like you said, $600, more than the other guys. That's something to be respected. It's not as if he's. I guess he could be 40% in the big buy-ins, but I think in the lottery he'll be probably restrained. I mean, probably 30-32%, maybe something like that. So you're gonna get an argument from me about Scheffler here, and I agree. I think Scheffler's clearing away the best of the 10Ks.
Nice. Well, what do you like down in the 9K range?
Yeah. So in the 9K range, the top projected guy as far as like my value score and all this stuff is going to be actually JT Poston. And this is the way it just works in golf, unfortunately, is that he's also looking to be 20% owned. So again, who I like and who I might play might end up being different, but Poston looks good. But I'll tell you, like just below him in my rankings, boy, here's a guy that you fade very, very nicely whenever you fade him. But at only 10%, maybe Finau is worth playing. I mean, he's 500 less than Thomas, 600 less than Tom Kim. Then there's Sam Burns. And Minwoo Lee, I think people are kind of a little hyped on. I think he'll end up being a little overowned, but he looks all right. So I'd say of the 9K range, I guess Poston, and then I guess I would go. I guess Finau, given ownership, would be my next favorite. I guess.
Yeah, well, so for me, when I'm going to do my first build, I immediately put Scheffler in, and I said, okay, how much value can I get? And as you pointed out, of why maybe you could take more chances on some value because it's in between this week,
right.
the three-day cut. But I like Tom Kim, so if I can get Scheffler in with Tom Kim, I'm going to be very happy.
Yeah, if you could do it,
be way ahead on Kim in general. I just think I've been saying this for a year, and it proved to be really, did really well for me last year. So. I just think this guy is the next, top 5 golfer, top 6 golfer in the world. And not that he's not even he's the 5th highest priced golfer, so it's not that crazy. But I think that I don't think that the field is quite caught up with it. He'll be owned, but I still really like him. Go ahead, Sheets.
Yeah, putting these two guys in leaves you 7,100 a man. That's going to be rough. And I think that's why maybe Scheffler's not going to be that popular at the end of the day.
So maybe that's true, but there are some guys who I am absolutely going to take ridiculous chances on, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So that's what I've got for now, though. Either way, and again, I'm not going to be able to do that, but I do have Poston as my next one, and then I had Minwoo, then followed by Sam Burns and Finau, as you mentioned, just because of the ownership. So we are sort of in a similar step, except for that I'm very, very, very high on the Kim thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. In other words, if you see, here's a good example. Here's a good case for Tom Kim. All right, so you look at Scheffler with Tom Kim together. Okay, it's 7,100 a man. It's no bargain, right? 71, 75, whatever. But let's just say that instead you go 800 down, right? You play the Poston instead of Tom Kim. It's still not great. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't really gain too much as far as like I can find a $7,100 guy just about as easily as I can find a $7,300 guy. But I don't think that Poston is in the same. I don't say the league. You know what I mean? But I definitely think that Kim is more upside than Poston. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that maybe that is the right idea. Is to say, you know what? I'll figure out what I'll take some shots with these 7,100s instead of 7,300s because I want to play Scheffler and Kim together, for example.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't do all that much when you look at it from that perspective. All right, down in the 8Ks, what do you have down here, Sheets?
Well, you have the most popular and the highest projected of the 8K range. That would be Mr. Top 15 himself, and Eric Cole.
Eric with a C.
Eric with a C. Cole. We invented him back in the day.
That's right.
And all the guy does. Let's pull this up to confirm this. Or maybe I'm just making it up. Nope. All of these, all top 15s. Just
pretty
amazing.
Awesome.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
And he's going to be popular and probably for good reason. He makes lineups work. Now you can't play all 3 of these. This is the problem now. Okay,
maybe.
So now, All right, we got some ideas. All right, we'll get there.
They're ideas. They're just
maybe.
ideas.
All right, maybe. But okay, other 8Ks. It's actually a pretty decent drop for me. And then we're getting to the real low 8Ks, and that would be Andrew Putnam, Hadwin, Boccia, and Cam Davis. I guess saving money with those guys makes sense. So who have lower owned between all them? Putnam 11, Hadwin 12. They're all the same. Boccia 10, Davis 8. So I guess just pick your favorites out of those.
Yeah, I think that for me, my favorites are so I like Cole and Clark the best.
Wyndham Clark, he'll be probably low owned, I think.
Yeah, he might be. I have a feeling. I don't know. I feel like all the guy did was take a huge step in his career and become this player that he was supposed to be last year. I don't really know why we're not going to keep banking on it. Maybe he hasn't played here before. I have to double check that. The interesting one, though, to me is just because he's going to be so much lower than everyone in this range, I think is Shane Lowry. Ooh. Just because no one is going to play him, and he's probably a better golfer than the guys they're going to play over him. Now, what that means for this course and everything, to be completely transparent, I haven't done all my research yet. I was going to hopefully mention my final stuff tonight when we go live, if we are able to. But I really I do think Lowry just has an interesting low-owned play. I always want to be ahead on Bakshia, but for the most part, my actual answer to this range is probably skipping it. I think that I'm because I'm playing I love the Tom Kim and Scheffler. I like Minwoo Lee and Poston a lot. If I'm going to play Scheffler or Cantlay or any of those two combinations, I'm not going to be able to get to as much in the 8K range, which is okay with me because I'm not as high on the 8K range as I was last week, for example. What I will say is that there will be some money given away by me by playing a little bit of Daniel Berger. And we'll get into this in the 7,500 to 8K range next. And there will definitely be a lot of money lost by me on Will Zalatoris. Because I am absolutely willing to gamble that I want to be there when things get back. And he started to look better in his second round after shooting a horrible first round. I think he shot 500 last week. I think Zalatoris is showing just enough of a little bit of a sign. And if Zalatoris is right, he's 9,600 in this, and he's 7,900. So there's a huge saving. Again, he's not right. It's been a while. It's risky. But I have a little bit of interest in both Berger and Zalatoris personally.
I will say this about Berger, by the way. If you're going to pick a situation where your back problems might not be such a big deal, you want it where you don't need to hit the ball all that far. You know? And so it's a pretty good spot for him in general. But anyway.
Yeah.
You want to just
7,500 to 75 to 79.
Yeah, and again, the way we've been building here, it's like this is also probably the range which we're not going to even play as much, because we're going to probably want to get even lower. But in that range, I have Steven Yeager as my top play overall, and then Adam Schenk and Bill Hostler, and then it's a drop. I mean, all these guys look reasonable. I hate to say everybody, but like Noren, Rye, Pendrith, they're all under 10%. They all look reasonable. So I guess you have to take a stand somewhere. I guess Yeager would be my favorite.
So I like that. I mean, I think that Yeager is the logical one. For me, it's Zalatoris. I'm going to do it. I don't care. This is
who?
Zalatoris is my favorite in the range.
Okay.
From 75 to 79. But I'm totally good with the Yeager idea. I feel like I want some. He never got me my money when he was like 6,300 and he was making top 20s, and I was still playing him, but I just couldn't get the right mix with him because I was very high on Yeager's future when after he killed it on the Corn Ferry Tour. I haven't really been able to catch the right one, so it's always weird for me to play him as a little bit with a little bit of ownership because I had so many chances when he wasn't, and I never quite got there. I agree with what you said. It's harder for us to play this range based on what we've been talking about. So I don't have as much in this range. I do have Keith Mitchell as a potential. I have Aaron Rye as a potential guy, but none of these are priorities. And then the one who I think is interesting, and he actually showed up pretty well on your value score, is Adam Schenk. So I just thought I'd mention him. But again, probably not going to be the majority of my builds in this range. Although I could go back to my Ryo Hisatsun, who at least made a little bit of a run for me.
Ryo, that's right.
I played him in my big one last week, and it was my stupid 5 of 6 decision ended up costing me a couple $1,000 because I ended up on Fitzpatrick as my spend up, which was the only guy who missed the cut. Everybody else was flowing. Anyway, but yeah, so I think Ryo and I think Nick Taylor are fine. But again, probably going to be looking at this next tier down because I'm going to be spending up on.
All right, so who do you got?
Okay. So 7,500. So starting from 7,400, I have Matt Wallace. Again, a guy, he was pretty good to me last week. I have Ben Griffin I actually really like both of these guys. A little bit of a tougher field this week, so maybe I should temper my expectations. In general, I love Justin Suh, but probably not going to be this week for me. They moved my Brandon Wu up. The Woos were great, and then they moved my Brandon Wu up to 7,300. So it's a little higher than I want to pay for him. Probably not going to get to him as much as I would Wallace and Griffin, but I don't mind him. The other ones, so I have Sam Stevens, Grayson Murray after the big performance last week, and the general plays well here, so I will take another shot with the general at 7K, as well as I thought there was a couple other. You have the other Wu, Dylan Wu at 7K and Doug Gibb at 7K. All of these guys rate to me to be okay. I'm probably going to be mixing and matching. If I had to make a real stand on one of them, it probably would be Grayson Murray and Ben Griffin. Grayson Murray, Ben Griffin, Matt Wallace. And maybe, I wanted to ask you about this one because you usually like the KH Lee, and he was good last week. Maybe KH Lee. So maybe the 7,400 guys are my favorites in this range.
Now, again, I know some people are like, Sheets, aren't you going to call him out on this? Like, we've mentioned everybody in the range. Okay.
No. But I mentioned, though, that it was all mild, spreading them out.
Well, my point is that in this particular case, Bobby's not wrong. In other words, if we're going to play those top three guys, I think it's very wise to just, depending on how many lives you play, whatever, is to just shuffle these guys, because none of them are really that much better than the other one. And it's not as if any of them are that much lower owned than the other one. They all look like they're going to be really unchalky. I guess the one that I see getting the most ownership is, not surprisingly, the one that I have rated the highest, and that would be Alex Smalley, but that's only 8%. You know what I mean? Right. So everybody's going to be under 10%. All the guys that you mentioned, and I'll just Smalley, Griffin, like all those guys you mentioned, I like. And I'll just throw in two others just because they're showing up just a little bit higher for me, just again to include in your shuffle. That would be Lee Hodges, and then I don't know if you mentioned Austin Eckroat, but him, and then the guy, the name, I always have one funny name guy that I want to play. It wasn't going to be Ben Coles, but he's in the shuffle as well. Where's the guy with the name, the French guy? Hold on. Oh, there it is, Matthew Pavon. So
yeah.
He's going to be kind of like the 7,200 name guy to play. So it'd be him or the Ben Coles, because I don't think there's much difference in any of these 7,500s and below. And I think that if you want to play the way we might want to play, to take a stand on just because what's his name, Smalley projects a little bit better. I mean, I don't think that's good enough. You know what I mean? I think you take your chances on the Tom Kim up at 98 and hope you're right on that, as opposed to just getting 35% of one of these 7,300 guys. I think you have to spread those guys out.
Yep, absolutely.
If you didn't want to do any of that, I mean, what about the 6,800s? You like anything there, or 60?
Yeah, why don't you start that one off, because I'm just making my list, and it's a long one because it's the same theory of just spreading out a lot of these different guys down here.
Yeah, okay. So you know what? Who looks pretty decent. I mean, the top 6,900 guy on my rank is usually about 50th, just for context. And here the guy's rated 30th. Now, again, it could be because it's it's a 3/4 cut, whatever. But that would be Tyler Duncan. I'll throw that one in there. And then a guy who I have never played before, never heard of before, and that's just the way we like it. That's going to be a Jake Knapp, K-N-A-P-P. Jake Knapp with a K.
What's the price on the Knapp?
6,800.
Okay.
So he's probably good if he's 6,800, right? I mean,
yeah. I've heard the name. I just didn't know.
So Jake Knapp with a K. That's what we're going to call him.
All right. So
excuse me, look at this. So he made the cut last week. He played 4 rounds.
Yeah,
that's something.
We'll take it. Anybody at 4 rounds and under 7, I think under 7, I think we take. Okay, so here are the ridiculous one. Here are mine. Some of them may not be ridiculous. Carl Yuan, Alejandro Tosti, Joseph Bramlett, Robbie McIntyre, the aforementioned Tyler Duncan, Joel Dahman, Carson Young, Kevin Kisner.
Sounds good.
Those are the main ones. And for what it's worth, Kevin Kisner, I understand you could say whatever, hasn't played or does this and whatever. He's 6K flat. He and Peter Malnati are like the only guys you see regularly in tournaments who are like actually ever have any pricing and that you ever see at like 6K. So it just stood out to me that if I play Kevin Kisner, I can get a lot of other stuff in. It's occurring to me like Zach Johnson and Pearson Coody are the other two that I was considering. But I again, even though I'm spreading it out, I need to make a cut at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are probably the two that I end up a little bit lower on. But I don't think Zach Johnson is all that bad of a play. I mean, just considering that he's 6,300, you're really just hoping for a cut making with a little bit of upside. But I like that strat. Oh, I forgot the one. Bad Mood, Kevin Streelman, and Ches Reavie. So I have a bunch of these guys to mix through while I want to play my tighter core of top guys, which I've only got like 6 of. So that's sort of the way I'm going to treat this week a little bit.
All right, so let's get back. We'll have a little contest. We can't forget to not make the cut, guys. So let's we'll just start with the winner. So I guess you can go first.
I'll take Scheffler.
You'll take Scheffler, and you know what? I'm going to go Scheffler too. So there. Okay. All right. So how about top guy under 10K to make the top 5?
I'm going just barely, and I'm going to say Tom Kim.
Yeah, I will. I will dip down, and even though he's only been top 15 guy, I think we could squeeze Eric Cole into the top 5. So we'll make this his breakout one and get Eric Cole in the top 5.
All right, I like that.
Under 9K to make top 10.
Under 9K to make top 10. I'm just looking at my notes here. This is the wrong answer, so of course I'm going to say it. Oh, under 9. Okay. So I could have gone even with the something like the Cole thing or whatever, but I actually don't love that upper 8K range, and I want to stick true to what I was saying. I'm going to take, look, this is ridiculous. This is not a guy who should be a core for you, although I actually think he's going to get some ownership, but I am just going to say, you know what, Zalatoris is going to start playing some golf. So I'm going to take a long shot on Zalatoris. It's probably the wrong answer, but it sticks with what I'm actually going to be doing. So
you're dipping under the 8K to get to the top 10. Okay. So I'll join you in that. I will. I'll dip into the below ranks too, and I'll take Steven Yeager to make it to the top 10. So how about under 8K now that we haven't used yet to make the top 20?
Under 8K unused to make the top 20. I was gonna say Yeager, but I'm gonna say Ben Griffin.
I like that. I'm going to. Just because, I mean, I didn't really talk about him too much before, and I do have him ranked number 2 behind Yeager in the under 8Ks. I'm gonna say Bo Hostler.
Bo Hostler. Okay.
Bo Hostler to make top 20. How about under 7K just to make the 3-day cut?
I'm gonna say Carl Yuan.
Ooh. Okay.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'd actually like to change that one. I'm going to say McIntyre.
Okay, and I will go with. I usually do this with the 7Ks. I usually go with the top projected guy for me, and that would be Tyler Duncan. So I'll go Tyler Duncan.
He was going to be my other one, but I figured
to make the cut. What about a guy over 9K to miss a 3-day cut?
Well, one guy whose name we didn't mention on this, and it's very interesting because he's showing up with a ton of ownership, and that would be Justin Thomas. Can we bet on maybe a little bit of the bad Justin Thomas still being there? That's the first one that stood out to me, but I think the correct answer is probably like a down week from Chris Kirk or something. So I'll say Chris Kirk, even though I actually think Thomas is kind of interesting to say that for.
So I'm going to go with kind of a popular guy in general, but I just don't think that his skill set is particularly whatever. So I'm gonna fade Minwoo Lee.
That's what I thought.
So
yeah, weird because we all like Minwoo, but part of why we like him is because he hits the ball 500 yards every
time.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't really need that for this tournament.
Exactly. So I'm gonna say he misses the cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, so keep on the lookout. Either I'll do a lineup build or we'll do one live later. I mean, in fairness, and just so you guys know, it starts what time? Like 11:30 tomorrow. I mean, it's a late start, so it's not. I maybe even do it in the morning, but nonetheless, you'll see a lineup build at some point from this.
Yeah, sounds good. And if I'm around tonight and if we're able to do it, I'm going to try to be there. I've just got some stuff I got to take care of.
Okay.
Good luck to everybody today and this weekend, and hopefully we see you guys at the top of the leaderboard.